very excited that this is In-Gathering Sunday, knowing that in a little while I'm going to invite you to bring your pledge cards forward. And of course, you are paying attention to the gospel when you hear Jesus talking about the widow and her 2 copper coins, and how that's the best gift because these other people gave out of their abundance, but she gave everything she had. Everything she had to live on, she gave to the treasury. And that's the way you should give. That sounds like a very scary message to us, actually. It sounds very scary, and it sounds like in a little bit I'm going to say, okay, I'm ready for you to sign your bank account over to me so we can use it here at St. Mark's. I think that really misses the point. Yes, she gave all she had to live on. And yes, the other people gave far more money, but they had more money they could have given. But that's not really the part that's important. We get hung up on that because it's about money. And any time Jesus starts talking about money, we get uncomfortable. We get uncomfortable because we don't like being told what we should do with our money. We don't like thinking that maybe we should be doing something differently than what we're already doing because we're quite comfortable right now, thank you. But I've learned to become okay with being uncomfortable when Jesus talks. Especially if you paid attention to earlier in the gospel when he talked about the scribes who like to wear their long robes, be recognized in marketplaces, and say their long prayers. I promise I'll try to be brief this morning. But it's sometimes just what we have to do is just be uncomfortable. And when we sit and we're uncomfortable for a little bit, we find that there's some greater meaning that we weren't first grasping. Because it's not about how much money was being given. That's not the point. The point is, why are you giving the money? And the people who were giving large sums were giving large sums for the sake of appearance. They wanted the status that came with being a person who gave a large sum of money to the synagogue. They wanted the status that came with being someone who was seen as upright, righteous. They wanted to be like those scribes who got the best places in the synagogue, who got to sit at the best spot at the feasts. They wanted that status, and that's why they were giving. But that's not why this poor widow gave. She knew that when she put in her 2 tiny copper coins, there was no expectation that someone was going to look at her and say, oh, well, there's someone who's righteous. There's someone whose donation is going to make a difference, and we need to invite her so she is at all the right places. We need to be seen with this woman. She didn't give for any of those reasons. She gave because the temple meant something. The temple was important. It was a community center. It was a place where people could go and be shaped and formed as God's people, where they could receive instruction on how they could go out and serve the people in the world, like the commandment to take care of the widow and the orphan. The temple had meaning, and she wanted to do whatever she could to make sure the temple could continue to serve the world. All she had was those 2 copper coins. But she gave because she wanted to make a difference. In a few short moments, I'm going to invite you all to come forward and offer your pledge. Not as a sign of status. I'm not going to look at your pledge card. I will have absolutely no idea what you're giving to the church. And quite frankly, I don't care how much you give to the church. What's more important to me is you. What do you believe about the church? Do you believe that St. Mark's is a place where the community can gather? Is it a place where we are shaped and formed as children of God and strengthened to go out into a world desperately in need of healing, to proclaim a message of love and hope and resurrection for all God's children, respecting the dignity of every human being? That's the goal of the church. That's our goal here at St. Mark's. And if you believe in that goal, and you want to do what you can to make that goal a reality, then please come forward and offer your pledge to the church. Again, this isn't about guilting you into giving to the church. Because if you give out of a sense of guilt, that's not it. You should not feel ashamed if you have just a small amount to offer. And so I'm going to invite you, when you come forward, to turn in your pledge card, to put it face down in this basket behind me, so that other people who come up can't see what you're pledging either. The numbers on those cards are between you and God. If you believe in the mission and ministry of St. Mark's, if you believe that this church makes a difference in the world, if you believe that this is something that you personally want to be a part of, then I invite you now to come forward and offer your pledge to God and God's church.
Hey, I'm a Christ follower.
And I go to church.
Hey, if you don't mind me asking you out, why do you have a $10 bill taped to your forehead?
That's for the offering today.
Oh, okay, that's great. You're giving to the church.
Yes, I am. I notice you don't have any money on you.
Well, you know, I don't actually tape it to my forehead anymore, but I usually just write a check.
Is it for this much?
Well, now that's between God and I.
I see.